Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. We always try to bring you the most interesting, thought-provoking stuff out there, and today is no exception. Today, we're going to be taking a closer look at this whole idea of a fake alien invasion.
Yeah, this one's definitely out there, right? But it's fascinating how this idea keeps popping up.
Right. It seems like every time it comes back, it's tied into whatever anxieties are kind of floating around in society.
Absolutely. We're actually looking at some material about Project Bluebeam, which, if you've spent any time in conspiracy circles, that name might ring a bell.
So the Project Bluebeam, for anyone who hasn't heard of it, this theory first popped up back in the 90s. What's the kind of the core idea behind it all?
Basically, the theory claims that some powerful group or, maybe even a shadowy government agency is going to use super advanced technology to stage a fake alien invasion.
Like full-on spaceships in the sky, lasers, the whole shebang.
Pretty much. Holographic projections, crazy light shows, maybe even some kind of sonic effects to really freak people out. It's all about creating this mass panic and, ultimately controlling the population through fear.
Hold on, control the population how? Like what would be the goal of all this?
Well, the theories vary. Some say it's about establishing a one world government. Others say it's about ushering in a new world order based on, some kind of authoritarian rule. It really depends on who you ask.
Okay, so there's this whole like dystopian sci-fi element to it. But what's interesting to me is that this theory, like we were saying, keeps resurfacing. We saw a spike in chatter about it around the time of the Trump presidency, right?
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive particularly interesting. I mean, Trump's presidency was definitely a time of heightened political division and distrust. And it seems like these kind of conspiracy theories tend to thrive in those kind of environments.
Right, like they feed off that uncertainty and anxiety. And what's really fascinating is how this idea taps into this broader distrust of institutions and authority. A lot of folks out there just feel like they can't trust what they're being told by governments and media, and this theory plays right into that.
For sure. It kind of gives people a framework to make sense of a world that feels chaotic and out of control.
So how does this theory try to, back itself up? What kind of evidence do proponents point to? Because the source we're looking at mentions things like sightings and leaks as proof.
It's interesting because the source doesn't offer any concrete examples, any specific dates or locations or, anything really verifiable.
Oh, so it's more like this vague sense of something's going on.
Exactly. It's more about this general atmosphere of suspicion. Like there are all these whispers and rumors and, people claiming they've got insider information.
So it's kind of like this self-perpetuating cycle, right? The more people talk about it, the more real it seems, even if there's no real evidence to back it up. Have you, I don't know, have you stumbled across any of this stuff online? Does any of it, I don't know, does any of this actually seem convincing to you?
I've definitely seen it floating around online, especially in certain corners of the internet. But, I'm always pretty skeptical when extraordinary claims are made without extraordinary evidence.
I hear that. I think it's healthy to be curious about these things, but also to approach them with a critical eye. It's that whole trust but verify thing, right?
Absolutely. And it's worth noting that this renewed interest in the idea of a fake alien invasion also coincides with, a legitimate surge in interest in UFOs in general.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You've got those Pentagon releases of those declassified videos, and that's gotten everyone talking.
Right, and that's got a lot of people asking questions. I mean, the possibility of extraterrestrial life is inherently fascinating. But, the danger is that this genuine curiosity can be kind of co-opted by people pushing more speculative, conspiratorial theories.
Yeah, so it's kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, you've got people genuinely interested in the possibility of aliens, and then you've got others using that interest to push these more, I don't know, these more far-fetched ideas.
Exactly, and that makes it even more important to be discerning about the information we consume.
Right.
To always question our sources and try to separate fact from speculation.
Totally agree. So let's get back to Project Bluebeam for a second.
Yep.
You were talking about the technology that's supposedly used to pull this off. I mean, if we take this theory at face value, how will they actually stage this fake invasion? What's the kind of the proposed plan?
Well, according to our source here, the scenario involves a super elaborate coordinated operation. You're talking holographic projections on a massive scale. Things like giant spaceships appearing over major cities, that kind of thing.
Whoa, that's some next level stuff.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop there. They also talk about advanced drones disguised as alien craft, maybe even some kind of psychological operations, like subliminal messages or something to mess with people's minds and make them more susceptible to fear.
So it's not just the visuals. It's like this whole multi-sensory experience
Yeah.
designed to really get under people's skin and, like you said, make them panic. But, okay, this is where I get a little stuck. I mean, wouldn't an operation of this magnitude, this level of technological sophistication, wouldn't it be impossible to keep under wraps?
You would think so, right? I mean, think about the sheer number of people that would have to be involved, the resources, the technology. It's hard to imagine all of that staying secret.
Right, like wouldn't there be some kind of leak, a whistleblower or something?
Mhm.
It seems like it would be pretty tough to keep this many people quiet, especially with a plan this big.
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest flaws in the theory, in my opinion. It assumes this level of competence and secrecy that, frankly, I find pretty implausible. It requires you to believe that not only does this incredibly advanced technology exist, but that it's been developed and deployed without anyone outside this shadowy group knowing anything about it.
Yeah, and that's a big leap. I mean, we're talking about technology that's like light years ahead of anything we know about.
Hmm.
I mean, sure, we got some pretty impressive special effects in movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But to project that kind of imagery onto the sky on that scale, it's mind-boggling.
And to do it in a way that would fool radar systems, satellites, all of that, it just stretches the bounds of believability.
Yeah, but it's important to acknowledge that while we might find this idea, a little far-fetched, there are folks out there who genuinely believe this stuff. They see it as a real and present threat.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's important to try to understand where they're coming from. I mean, like we were talking about before, there's a lot of distrust out there. And for some people, this theory might provide a sense of sense of order in a world that feels increasingly chaotic.
Right. It's like they're trying to make sense of these complex global events. And, this theory offers a simple, albeit, you know, pretty out there explanation.
It kind of boils down to this fundamental question of who do you trust, right?
Right.
Do you trust the official narrative, or do you believe that something else is going on behind the scenes?
And I think that question is becoming increasingly relevant in today's world, where information is so readily available, but also so easily manipulated. I mean, we've seen how deepfakes and misinformation can spread like wildfire online, so it's no wonder that people are, kind of questioning everything they see and hear.
Totally. And I think that's one of the more important takeaways from all of this, regardless of whether you buy into Project Bluebeam or not. It really highlights how important it is to be critical thinkers, to be aware of our own biases, and to be careful about the information we consume.
It's like this theory, whether it's true or not, it's a symptom of this deeper societal anxiety, this fear that we're not in control, that
Mhm.
something bigger is being done to us. And I think that's something we all need to be aware of and grapple with.
And I think it leaves us with a final question to consider. If this level of technology, this ability to create these incredibly convincing illusions did exist, what would that mean for our world? How would that change our understanding of reality, of truth itself? I mean, if you can fake an alien invasion, what else can you fake?
Yeah, it's a chilling thought. It really makes you think about the nature of reality in the digital age. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but we want to hear your thoughts on this one. Do you think Project Bluebeam is a plausible theory or just a product of our collective paranoia? Hit us up in the comments. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our show for more deep dives into the strange and fascinating corners of our world.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.